If you are a pet lover, this is your day or your morning, as it's that time. It's that time for our wonderful bi-weekly chit-chat with Dr. Jaimie Ronchetto from Cinema Veterinary Centre. Good morning.
Good morning.
So this is interesting. I'll tell the story this way. Boy meets girl. Boy falls in love with girl. Girl falls in love with boy. They set a wedding date for October. They move in together. Boy has a female dog. Girl has a female dog. Female dogs are not getting along to the point of some serious aggression. So it's putting a little bit of a crimp in an otherwise very wonderfully storybook romantic situation.
Yeah.
So is there anything that can be done, or is it just over time? Do they have to get used to each other? What is the is there an easy remedy for this, first of all?
Well, there's probably not an easy remedy. The first thing I would say, obviously, probably won't help so much in this situation because they've already been introduced and they're already having the issue. But for future situations and for others that may be thinking about having, changing housing situations and things like that, I find that it helps to introduce two new dogs in a very neutral area. So let's say in this situation, she moved in with him. So she was introducing her dog into his dog's territory. And that alone can cause problems because they can be very territorial and protective. If you introduce them outside, let's say at a park, or they're both on a walk or something like that, and it's a very neutral territory, it doesn't belong to anybody, they may be a lot more willing to sort it out and get along a little bit and feel more at ease. And then later, once they've been introduced a few times that way, then you can both enter the home at the same time with them to introduce the home that way. And sometimes that works a lot better. In their situation, since they're already both in the home, it is very tricky developing neutral areas or safe areas where they can both go to be away from each other. Definitely feeding separately away from each other, because certainly food and treats can be triggers that can cause problems. Being very even with their attention and even with what they do, but keeping things separate would help to not start fights, and trying to figure out if there's any triggers that are besides maybe food or treats that are causing issues with them. Once you sort out the triggers, then obviously avoiding those or altering your behavior with them sometimes helps too.
Right. I've noticed, and it's different because I was asking, is it two males? Is it a male and female? And it's actually two females. And I didn't realize that females were as territorial, because usually males, it's sometimes sorting out who's dominant. Right. Yeah. But in females, it's just a total territory thing then? Or do they have an alpha type of hierarchy as well?
Yeah, they're still going to try to develop a hierarchy and figure out their social who's going to be top dog. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. It's still going to be that same issue, because that's just how they're hardwired. So some of it could be that, just figuring out who's alpha and who's going to be submissive to that, and that takes a little bit of time. Certainly females can be territorial as well, so it could be a protective thing also. But yeah, it's a tricky situation.
And also probably just the general attitudes of how you're making sure that you're staying calm, your own demeanor and everything makes a difference too, right?
Yes, they absolutely will feed off of your emotions and your physical state. So if you're very stressed and on edge with them, then they're going to feel that, and that makes them more on edge and more inclined to have an issue or get into a fight because they feel that from you, and they're not going to be at ease.
And just learning the triggers. It's interesting because, I've got 3 dogs, and I had some issues with one of them, especially when we introduced the female dog, and he was being aggressive with her. And finally, they seem to, whatever they've done to sort it out. And it's partly also our demeanor and how we can see the warning signs too. But I've noticed the main thing, like we have our oldest dog, Buddy, who's usually very friendly with everybody. When we have guests over, and if everybody gathers in the kitchen while we're making dinner, like we're doing the preparation, as our gatherings are known to do, suddenly he gets really protective and aggressive. And it's an interesting kind of thing. So sometimes I'll even just have a cup of water handy just in case he starts fighting with the dogs in front of the guests, and I just dump it real quick. And that seems to solve the problem, except I get water everywhere. But that's the thing too, is making sure you have something that can stop them, so that they don't hurt each other or hurt even us as humans.
It's one thing to try to break it up, but you don't want to get bit in the process accidentally.
Water seems to work pretty good either, whether it's a squirt bottle or something.
Water usually works well.
Usually. So it's probably just going to take some time and a little bit of patience.
Take some time. There is a product, sort of like they have for kitties, the Feel Away that we've talked about. They have one for dogs called Dog Appeasing Pheromone. It comes as a spray, also comes as a diffuser, and that might help as well, just to plug in a couple of those diffusers around the house, kind of help keep them calm too.
I was going to ask about that, if the diffusers or something, because I'm telling you that has been like, I mean, there's sometimes a little bit triggers, but I'm telling you over time, because we had that with Otis just suddenly getting really stressed about it. And he's been really, really good on that. So I am a proponent of those. Anything else going on in the veterinary world?
Nothing new at the moment. Just really busy with summer. It's a very busy season. So.
And also, of course, since it's going to be hot this week, make sure that your dogs are properly hydrated and out of the sun.
Always.
And plenty of water. And if you have the opportunity to bring them in, try not to leave them out, et cetera, right?
Yep,
always good stuff.
Yep.
And, of course, for all your veterinary needs, Cinema Veterinary Centre, located on Cinema Drive in beautiful downtown Valencia. And the number is 253-9300, cinemavet.com. Dr. Jaimie Ronchetto, always a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.